Coming from the Truspace, we ain't answer to big neighbors. I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit. Now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the Truspace. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the Truspace. Welcome to the Truspace. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the Truspace.
Alright, what's good? Everybody's your astrologer open book, and we're here to talk about the full moon in Aries. So I feel like this full moon in particular is very powerful because there's a T-square going on with Pluto being there in Cap and the Sun and Libra and the Moon in Aries. So having Pluto in the mix, in adding the frustration in between the opposition of the Sun, our actions, and how we feel our emotion, is just making things that much more transformative, making things that much more, moving forward, because it's a cardinal cross too, or a T-square. So very forward moving and very initiating a new situation that you may not have had wanted, depending on what side you are on of the energies and shit like that. But yeah, that major theme of this full moon is going to be balancing your individuality, where selfishness, or that full moon moment, that where your emotions can get ahead of you, and you're really falling into the influence of that full moon, is going to be in the area of selfishness and a personal desire. That's what you can be to diving too deep into your emotions with the full moon in Aries. Or being too rash and letting things go too far too quickly, very easily, with this type of full moon energy, when we're in Libra energy and it was about creating balance. But from the new moon, if you haven't been doing too good, planting the best seeds since the from the new moon time, in terms of bringing balance into your life and your relationships, and understanding how to bring harmony, and how to start the conversation of creating balance, and not necessarily just thinking about you, but mitigating your relationships with other people, and knowing how to blend your energy and compromising, and how to start a conversation that couldn't have been started before. If you haven't been planting the seeds of trying to manifest these things into your life, coming with the full moon, it would be very easy for you to come off as selfish, because the sun's still in Libra, so it's easy. So everybody's still in the vibe of teamwork makes the dream work, or mitigating the relationships or trying to be all, happy, or to be civil, and to be fair and equal, and be like, hey, to make things look nice on the surface and stuff like that, for things to be presentable and stuff like that. So if you're dealing with, or have that full moon energy going on with that Aries energy, where it's based off of a personal desire, or you may be acting too quick, or you were feeling within the moment, reacting in the moment, and the seeds of that relatability aren't there, then it would be received as selfishness, and not necessarily accepted as as a part of the relationship, or a person is aware of those feelings and desires and stuff like that. So for you to react or get really passionate on it, it's not that much of a surprise, because you had already planted the seeds and had worked on building awareness and mixing and mingling your energies with other people, so that it didn't really come into a standoff when within this full moon. So that's what you have to be worried about. It's just your emotions being perceived as selfish, when you are actually probably doing what's best to be being done right now. And fuck if you do have to be selfish and shit like that, but you don't want to go too far within that energy and end up burning some bridges, and because Pluto's in that mix too. So you can't necessarily go and emotionally respond to personal desires the same way that you could have before, because of a lot of this friction and energy that's going on with society, the structure of society in general, and how that's transforming. You can't even go about your personal desires in the same way. It's a completely different everything outside and what's practical and what's real is going through that dramatic change. So you may even have that frustration, but and adding more frustration on top, because you can't really jump and go and express um those desires that may be bubbling up, which would, maybe even cause you to act more rash, or for you to really lash out and experience that full moon moment, which you got to be careful of. So it's that selfishness card that's going to be trying to be played, or that you're thinking or emotionally responding to yourself, too much of yourself, or maybe you're being too cold, or being too blunt, or too arrogant, or too cutthroat, in terms of emotion, and not putting other people's feelings and emotions first. That's how it would come off within this full moon, and you may fall victim to that energy being thrown at you. Somebody who didn't plant the good seeds of building, genuine give and take relationships in their life, and start really getting carried away with that selfish type attitude, and be acting like they deserve all of these things, like they had planted the seeds or did the groundwork to be like they already gave, when they didn't give a goddamn thing, you know. So be careful, definitely be careful of that energy too. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how that full moon's gonna kind of play out, especially with that T square going on. It's creating such transformative friction, especially with Pluto going direct, especially with Mars being there with the Sun in Libra. So our desires and passions and ways of going about things is in a very Libra-esque way too. So it's not very attack oriented. So it's already, our passions and desires are already kind of frustrated, or in an area and territory that it is not used to be in, and it's kind of like needs the sun to kind of walk us through the, and they're kind of tag team. It's like, oh, we don't even know how to go through this shit. They're just trudging through it, but kind of intensifying it together to try and keep it up. But it's interesting, you can kind of see that little social discord going on, or people trying to start the conversation of blending the ideals to start being so combative, but it's going to still erupt into war. Unfortunately, that's a result. But let's talk about the aspects that's coming up. And it's funny because I'm talking about a war on individuality. There's the war of the mind, and we're already in that. It's not about to start. It's not going to come later. We already are in the war. Whether it falls down into density, and to really, and it's already is falling down into density slowly but surely. The mental prison that you had already trapped yourself in is going to become ever more present within your physical reality, and you won't be able to run away from it, other than, in the la la land that they allow you to create and live in, to forfeit the power, creative ability that you have within this realm of reality. But even getting into all of that, it's a war on individuality. And it's interesting because Chiron's also there, and that's where our wound is. Chiron is in Aries, so that's where Chiron represents your wounded area, and also where you have a lot of knowledge on healing, because that is an area where you have been wounded. So it's an area where you have a lot of focus or knowledge on able to mend and stuff like that. And we got really struck on individuality and who we are as people in that first initial impulse. It's always getting lost in all of the hoopla and all of the stuff that's coming after, but not what you had first felt initially, and really going off of that, understanding that I am who I am, and not getting lost in the things that I am created, that I am this, that I am that. No, you are the I am. You can stop there at that point, and understand that that is your true essence, that you are the I am, and then you can choose whatever that is. But then you get lost in the I am this, and then now you have trap yourself. You have put yourself, use your ability to create as a spirit and put it in a trap and put it in a container where it can no longer expand and reach out and see new horizons. But now you're trying to label it into this. You could have just left it at I am. You are the creator, and you can create whatever. Whether it's this right now, it could be that later. But don't put yourself in this, and then now when you can't be this anymore, you have to be giving death to that, and it feels like you die, and you have to go be a whole new person. When you could have just been open and seen your true self, your true essence, the true creator God within you, and the infinite potential to create that you had, and you wouldn't have had that problem in the first place. But yeah, let's dive into the fucking aspects. But yeah, this is a war on individuality, and it's really represented by that Chiron. Or it's interesting how Chiron is in Aries, and that's an area where we are severely wounded, where everybody's in this collective mindset, and nobody can really, it even feels confident enough to quote things on their words and be like, this is what I say, this is what I think. They'll be like, studies say, or they're saying, and all of that other shit. It always has to be the quote of somebody else, or scientists say. It's always scientists. Like, what is that? What is that? Do you know how much sections of studies are within science? Or are you just generalizing science? Like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But get into aspects. The full moon being conjunct Chiron and Aries, like I was saying, our emotions are intensifying old wounds, and our old wounds are focal points of healing of our individuality with Chiron and Aries. And the moon will make us emotionally aware of this wound and the healing process. So that personal desire that's coming up is coming from a real genuine place, a place that may have been neglected because there's that wound, or it's a place that really needs that healing and needs attention, and maybe that needs to be expressed, but you really don't have the opportunity within your reality. So that's why I had gotten built up and waiting for the full moon in Aries to just pop out and to express itself, and to make itself known. So you got to be careful because with that, because it's going to be an old wound. So really, if you haven't been planting good seeds, that's a double whammy that really will hit you and reoccur, or make you kind of flash back into the past and put you in an awkward moment, or deal with something that you should have already had dealt with, or kind of halt, or it may not halt. It also could bring better awareness to your healing process within that aspect of that individuality and stuff like that. And then, like we already talked about with the T square, with the Pluto in Capricorn, the Sun in Libra, and the Moon in Aries, this is you personally responding to this is you emotionally responding to personal desires, while the very structure of reality and what's practical is transforming. All the while, our attention and actions are trying to balance and maintain harmonious relationships. So you can see how all of those aspects are kind of fighting with each other. We're trying to maintain our relationships, but society is changing what's practical. So that changes on how we deal with our relationships. So that's whole new territory that's kind of friction. So we can't go about things in new ways. We still have in relationships with old dynamics that, oh shit, you can't do that anymore. And it's like, oh, we used to go and do, oh, but shit, you can't do that anymore. And then your emotional desires is coming now in too, and now it's taking chief. So that's where that that conflict comes from. But then Jupiter comes in and kind of eases things out a little bit, offers some help, some wisdom and guidance with it being in Aquarius, and it's moving forward now. So now it's really moving forward with that expansion. It's not less revising. It's morality, it's wisdom and knowledge and what that is went through. It's coming through and giving you gifts. It's coming through and giving you experiences, pushing us forward into these experiences of Aquarius, the collective mind. And so this is the gift of experiencing the collective mind and its library of information through our social life and how we communicate. And this will help us be less impulsive and more purposeful because we are experiencing the collective mind. We are experiencing all and seeing Aquarius, all the different groups and pop up due to different mindsets and beliefs and stuff like that. And we are kind of really entrenched in this information age and already on our signs and or the type of information that we had built up and or found niches and stuff like that and already fall within specific communities and stuff like that type of shit. So we already kind of are going through that experiences, so it kind of helps you mitigate this personal desire type deal because when you kind of just you experience these social situations or how people think, so you kind of already know what's going to be perceived as selfish, or you kind of already know how people are going to be moving and be developed. So it kind of helps you mitigate your personal desire and or you have at least experience and knowledge and wisdom enough to kind of be aware or at least to work with it or work with the people in your environment and know how to communicate it so it's not coming out too blunt. But then again, if you're going out too rash, you see Jupiter's trying to help, but Jupiter is one of the slower moving planets. It's trying to expand, but it's a gradual expansion. So you kind of have to wait for it while your emotions are going to make you want to have that impulse and stuff like that and make you want to react based off of the moment. And you're going to have to slow down and stop yourself to remember your experiences, to remember the knowledge and wisdom that you have built up and kind of have internal vision or insight. Or and Jupiter is very directed to your third eye. That's the chakra. Planets, chakras talking about the same shit. So that insight, that visualization type aspect, that's that energy of Jupiter. That'll definitely help you get into the right place and direct that Aries energy so that you're not manifesting a full moon moment where that is catastrophic within your life. So that's how Jupiter's kind of helping out. It's creating that opportunity to access that information based off of what we are experiencing now and just how entrenched we are in how knowing the collective mind and the morals and the ways of seeing and the belief systems of the collective mind because of social media and stuff like that. We are deep in it, deep in that shit. And okay, so talk about fucking the moon through the houses. So and this is will be where you have the potential of manifesting a full moon moment within your life, and it's going to be which area of life, whichever house it's in, is the area of life that you can manifest this full moon moment in, or where you may be perceived as selfish in if you are planting the wrong seeds, or the area of life that you need to be weary of or mitigate and bring awareness to and allow things to release so it's not staying and remaining being a problem within your life. So if you have the moon transiting through Aries within your first house and you're an Aries ascendant, it's like, oh damn, already it's like it may not even be you're just being yourself, which is funny. But yeah, having Aries, the moon in Aries traveling through your first house, this is manifesting a moon moment based off of your personal interests and just who you are and how you present yourself. Maybe how you present yourself may be offensive to people, or just certain things that you're into, maybe something that is new for a person, or something that they're not, just the way that you speak or communicate, maybe too blunt for people, and may force you to manifest that full moon moment. Or you may seem that you are selfish because of your personal desires, or because of the way that you communicate and present yourself. But that is just who you are. That's just how you like to express yourself. That's just, but people would take it personally, or think that you aren't considering them first. But you're already an Aries ascendant, so you're like, what, nigga? Yeah, I didn't consider you first. So it's like, so that full moon moment would be kind of hard to or without awareness, if you're any of those Aries ascendant that don't know about themselves, you're just throwing punches. But or because people are already perceiving you as being selfish, is always gonna be like, it's like, oh, he's just doing that. But that's the key, or that's the power. Or when you allow yourself to be honest and genuine and spontaneous and in the moment, people stop expecting you to be a specific way and allow you to be spontaneous and in the moment. And it's kind of freeing like that. And if you embody that energy, maybe you can release any personal frustration that comes from that. And or that comes from any trials and tribulations of that transit. And know that you kind of because of this is how you are, this kind of needs to happen, or things needs to purge, or it's okay if they were to look at you as you're selfish a little bit, as long as you understand that you're doing everything that you can, or that your actions and attention is directed into bringing balance and harmony into your relationships, and just moving along with nature and what's going on now. If you have the moon transiting through your second house, and if you have the full moon in Aries happening in your second house, then you are have the potential of overly being overly emotional over personal desires of the things that you have, of wanting, maybe desiring to have specific things and wanting to get specific things, that represent you as an individual. Maybe you want all the positions that you have to represent you as an individual. And with the full moon there, you can be put you in a, because things break, and it's if it represents who you are as an individual, it could really be a toll, or cause a catastrophic moment, or people trying to borrow or take things, that they don't understand the representation of, and stuff like that, or how that or how you fought for that, or how you know really dive into that type of shit. Because with the second house, we're talking about your talents, and kind of like your senses, or your sensuality, and how you put yourself to work. That's the second house. Your finances, how you create stability for yourself. With the full moon in Aries, you're becoming emotionally aware, or emotionally responding to personal desires of what you have and what you want, or yeah, of the things that you have, of your resources, forcing you maybe to want more, forcing you to wanting a change or a new beginning in the things that you have, and wanting to replace things, causing anger and frustration of the things that you have based off of what they represent, maybe. So you have to be careful of that energy, and you may be selfish in the things that you have, maybe looking at like you're not sharing with other people. People may think that you're selfish with the things that you have, not realizing that you worked hard, or that you look at these things like you worked hard for these things, and that they represent something higher. They represent your individuality, but it may be perceived as selfishness, like you're just not willing to share your resources, that you're just not willing to put out, that you only think about yourself, when that very well may not be true. Maybe true, but you're just acting within your nature. So that's a full moon moment, or an area of focus that would happen if you have the full moon transiting through your second house. If you have the full moon transiting through your third house, then you have a potential of creating a full moon moment in your surroundings, your environment, the people that are closest to you, um, and yeah, your immediate environment and kind of what happens in the moment. Things that are short trips, things that are really close by you. You may be have emotion responding to personal desires there. So maybe a personal desire to go out on short trips or to be around people that are familiar surroundings and stuff like that. Or for you to be alone within your surroundings. One thing I forgot to mention with this full moon moment is manifesting a situation that'll make your ass alone, or that will make you alone. If you're not planting the right seeds in Libra to make the harmonious relationships and balances, you may end up manifesting a situation where you are by yourself, and the help or the balance and appreciation that you would normally have wanted, or is that supposed to be there, that you're expecting, because his Libra season isn't there within the full moon in Aries, and that's what's creating the catastrophic moment, because that is what is wanted, or at the moment in time. So you may find yourself alone in your surroundings and stuff like that if you're manifesting a full moon moment in your third house, or if you're having the moon traveling through your third house. You may have people thinking that you're selfish with your surroundings and where you go and the short trips you do. Maybe you see a certain amount of people and don't see them enough. You communicate with a certain amount of people because they're close and you don't communicate with them and stuff like that. And then that forces you to be alone, or maybe they look at you like you're selfish and stuff like that. And so you have to be wary of that, because it's going to be focused on your surroundings and short trips that you take, and what's in your immediate surroundings and stuff like that. If you have been planting the right seeds, then you would have enough balance and harmony and your relationships that are in your immediate surrounding, and just your approach to bringing more harmony, more aesthetic value, more just what do you call it, pleasantness, into your surroundings. um, then you kind of won't really run into that problem. You won't be alone. People will step into the surroundings and be like, "Oh, this is welcoming," or step into the surroundings and get to see you as an individual without being attacked and targeted. So if so, you have to be wary of that with the moon transiting through your third house. If you have the moon transiting through your fourth house, then you may manifest a full moon moment in the home, and or surrounding domestic issues and your comforts and stuff like that. Maybe getting too comfortable, being too private, and it's making it seem like you are being selfish, or like you're hiding something, and that you only care about yourself, and that's why you're always trying to obtain comfort, or that's why you're secluding and keeping things private, or that's why you're so quick to emotionally respond to something, um, or to catch feelings based on something, thinking that they're always talking about you and stuff like that. That's how people may be trying to paint a situation. You may find yourself falling into that, and creating that kind of catastrophe, because during the new moon, if you were planting the right seeds, within the home, you would have opened the doors of creating balance within the home space, within comfortability, where you're not going in too much. You know how to mitigate, or to have a balance, and how to balance out comfortability and within the home, and how to be private and balance in the public, and how to still be sociable, and not just be emotional, but how to communicate these emotions to a degree so that things are known and not just internal. So you won't come off as selfish, because those feelings and emotions were communicated and made known before, so it doesn't come off as selfish or out of the bloom or rash, or like you're just being overly emotional right now, or that you're being selfish for wanting comforts, for you to want to relax and take it easy and shit like that. If I have to go into battle just to relax and shit with that full moon going through the fourth house. So you have to be careful of that. Be careful of that. With the full moon going through the fifth house, the area of life that you can manifest a potential full moon moment in would be your area of fun, of entertainment, and the things that you enjoy, the things that kind of occupy your attention, and that kind of bring you into that childlike, straightforward, honest type energy where you're just creatively expressing yourself as an individual, where you're moving based off of feeling, and things are very active, and you're able to sustain an image. You have the potential to have a full moon moment here where things can really go rash, or you seem selfish because of fun and enjoyment that you have, or a personal desire to entertain yourself in a specific way, a personal desire to creatively express yourself in a specific way. People are gonna not want you to shine your light like that, or feel like you're shining your light too bright, that you're not making it hard for other people to shine, or that you are burning out too quick, and you very well may be, even with the fucking double fire signs go, or let's say double fire sign because it's the fifth house, talking about Leo type energy, the fifth sign. But having the full moon in Aries there, when you're talking about fun and enjoyment, then you're talking about personal desires. Those do very well balance off of each other. So it would be very easy for you to dive too deep into that selfish energy of Aries and start emotionally responding to in a negative way to these personal desires, and fixating on them, and diving into being quick to dive into things that are entertaining, even though they may not be what's best for the collective, and then you kind of ruin your relationships like that, and that's moving completely against what we're supposed to be doing right now in Libra season. So be careful within that area, and within your fun and enjoyments, and how you entertain yourself, and if you have been planting the right seeds, or if you're looking for balance and harmony in your relationships, people would already know what it's about, and you have already tried to start the conversation on and presenting your creative desires, and how you like to entertain yourself and stuff like that, in order to try to bring balance to that and expose that within the relationship, then it wouldn't be seeming too selfish, because it was already, the conversation had been started already. You're already trying to balance and mingle that, so it can't be seem like you're selfish. It's not like they didn't know and it's coming out of the blue and you're being rash and you're just throwing things on them. That type of energy. So if you have the full moon going through your sixth house, then you may manifest this full moon moment in the body, or within your health, or you may be seen where you may seem too selfish in how you schedule your time, and how you work, and where you work, and who you give attention to, and stuff like that. With the full moon in Aries in the sixth house, it's a very active work life. With the full moon in Aries, having Aries in the sixth house, you're emotionally responding to a fast work life, and it may cause you to burn out, or things are going by so fast that you can't practically analyze it or structure things properly, and it causes you to be overly emotional, or because you can't structure and organize it properly, it's causing you to act within impulse, and because it's not as efficient or it doesn't make as much sense, people may start looking at you as if you're selfish or as if you're slacking, even though you have been putting in that work, even though you're the only reason why you're worn out and maybe slipping once or twice is because you've been putting in the work and you have already produced that body of work. And but it may just not be appreciated, or if you're not creating balance, or starting that conversation and learning how to mix and mingle your energy on that level, then it could come into a problem. And then where how you're organizing your day and structuring your day-to-day starts seeming selfish, and you have to start bending time schedules and stuff like that to accommodate with other people, or burn bridges, because that is an impasse that can't be get over. So you have to be careful of those areas of life with this full moon. If you have the full moon going through your seventh house, then you have the potential of creating a full moon moment within your relationships and how you relate to other people, and your one-on-one relationships, and how you create balance within your life. You maybe seem selfish in your relationships and how you go in about in relationships. Having Aries um, in your seventh house makes you a very impulsive person in terms of relationships. Not necessarily impulsive, but straightforward and straight to the point in terms of relationships. So this may cause you to be get overly emotional, or be too rash and show too much, or go to war in a relationship in an area where you want to create balance, where you want to mend that relationship, but due to an over emotional outburst, it may seem like you are being selfish, that you are putting your personal desires above the relationship and making things work and being harmonious. But if you have been planting the right seeds, you would know, or it would be known that your true desire is to be in a harmonious relationship, and what your personal desires are, and how to mitigate that. If you had already started the conversation, then how you blend that energy would have been easy, because it's not coming out of the blue and it's not being rash, and you had already communicated it and trying to work it out with the other person, so you can't be labeled as selfish. And yeah, so that's the theme that you'll be playing with if you have the moon transiting through the seventh house. If you have the moon transiting through your eighth house, then the area of life where you can potentially create a full moon moment in would be your deepest desires, kind of things that you keep internal, or within you, the reasons and meaning for things that you don't share, and your vulnerabilities. It's kind of your deepest emotional desires, and the things that you reflect on internally by yourself. Having a full moon moment there, you may be seem selfish by retaining certain feelings and emotions that you have, and not sharing things that may come off as selfish, or because you've been retaining things and holding on to things, you may really express something and attack, or and be blunt about something, be rash in expressing something that's been bubbling up for a long time that people wouldn't be aware of, and then you create a catastrophic moment for yourself, or you create a full moon moment, or burn bridges, because you haven't been starting the conversation on these vulnerabilities, because you haven't been trying to present these deep desires, and or figure out a way, some way to present and connect with other people based off of these deeper desires. It's now coming off as selfish, because they're like, whoa, we didn't know these desires existed. It was like, oh, it seems like it's very self-oriented, and because it's being held within, it seems, and then you're mixing, the Martian energy, 8th house Scorpio type deal. It does seem very volatile, or you may very well be very protective of that area of life too, which is just playing off of that full moon moment. So you have to be really careful. Just when the moon's in Scorpio within itself, it's very easy to manifest that full moon moment in itself. So and that transcends into the 8th house as well. So be careful with the moon going through your 8th house. with the moon going through your ninth house, the area of life where you might manifest a full moon moment in would be your experiences and your knowledge and wisdom and how you see things and believe in things and develop wisdom and knowledge around things. Your higher learning aspect. So with the full moon going on in here, you may manifest a full moon moment where you are being seen as selfish by the type of things that you believe in and the type of things that you see and the beliefs that you have and the experiences that you went through. It makes it seem like you are selfish in your beliefs and your morality and how you use your wisdom and knowledge, where because it's in your ninth house, and your broad perspective, where they may think that you because you have a broad perspective, you have a personal desire, or you're emotionally responding to a personal desire based off of your broad perspective. Not everybody may have that scope. So because you're using a scope that not everybody can see through, or that's a mesh based off of your experiences and stuff like that, it may come off as selfish because maybe the lens is too broad and it's not dealing with what's happening in the current moment and right now, whereas you're picturing things idyllic and optimistic, but it's not necessarily up to date on what's going on right now. So it may force you to emotionally respond to a very broad and be rash to a very big picture concept that you have in your mind, not realizing that it's a lot bigger than what you had previously thought, and that it's going to take a while for something like that to come into fruition, and that you can't just jump into it like how you were looking at it, or it's not very big picture stuff. You're gonna have to do the small tedious things, or get it starting at least before you get into those large concept type stuff. So that's kind of what you may be dealing with or have to be careful of with this full moon. If you have the full moon traveling through your 10th house in Aries, then you may have a potential full moon moment within the area of life of your career and your status within the world. So you may emotionally respond to a personal desire to look a specific way, or to have a specific career, or to be positioned in the world, or to bring about practicality in the world in a specific way, to build something for yourself. To probably have a personal desire to build something for yourself, or to be known for something, or to reach or acclaim something. But that desire may be seen as selfish, or that desire may cause you to over emotionally react to things and not or and lose sight of the status, lose sight of the goal that you had initially been chasing, and kind of get emotionally consumed over that personal desire that you had to go and chase, not the goal, not the end goal. Kind of get lost in the desire of it. So you have to be careful of that with the full moon. And people might be pointing at you and saying you're selfish, but by how you obtain this practicality, or how you go out and do things and obtain this status, or how you go out and climb the ladder. They're like, you're being ruthless maybe, and you're not helping other people, or that you're being go, and that you're going too fast for people and not letting people to keep up. That's one thing that you may manifest within this full moon, and people trying to point the finger at you and calling you selfish, and for having this desire. Because if you were planting good seeds, you would have started the conversation about these desires and what you had wanted to climb, and this would have been integrated into your relationships, and there would have already been understanding, so it wouldn't be perceived as selfish, because the conversation about this has already been started, and you had put the attention on mitigating your relationships and making sure that they were harmonious and based on some genuine type shit. So yeah, That's what it would be if you have the moon transiting through your 10th house. So that's the area of life that's going to be playing out in. If you have the moon transit in your 11th house, then you have the potential of creating a full moon moment within your social life and your life goals and how you interact with the collective. Um, you may be seem a little selfish by the groups that you have that you associate with, or the mentalities that you subscribe to. Um, Maybe you would be too rash or emotionally respond to a desire. You have to be within a specific social group, or to be working towards a specific cause. You have a personal desire to work towards a specific cause, and to have facilitate a specific conversation, but it be seemed as selfish, even though that you are doing that for everybody else, or because it's a genuine, love for the knowledge. It seems disconnected and disheartened. But if you had communicated that this was your life goal, and that I started the conversation, use that trine energy with the 11th house is Aquarius, when we're talking about Libra season, starting that conversation about the mentalities that you have been fostering, the social groups that you have gotten towards, and the causes that you see worthy of fit, and you had already been including that and mitigating that in your relationships and shit like that, then it wouldn't be seen as selfish for you fixating your mind on these causes, or going into these social groups and dynamics and stuff like that, and facilitating those conversations. It would already be known that you are into that stuff, and integrate it into your relationships in a genuine way. If you have the moon transiting through your 12th house, um, then you have the potential of creating a full moon moment in your subconscious mind, and how you emotionally respond to the collective in general, and other people's emotions, or how you share emotional space. It's kind of like the pool of water that we are all in collectively. That's why it represents the subconscious, your dreams, and also your illusions, and your imagination, your ability to create and kind of manipulate emotions, or move your emotions. So this would be an area where you would be considered your dreams, and how you use your imagination, or focus your imagination. It may seem very selfish, or people trying to point the fingers at you being selfish, because you have a personal desire for a dream. So you're emotionally responding to a personal desire for a dream, for emotionally responding for a personal desire to be in a specific emotional state of being. You want to maintain a specific emotional state of being, but people may look at you as selfish, or you want to make the energy around you be on a specific vibe, or only be around specific vibes that you resonate with right now, but that you trying to move into a vibe that resonates with you is going to be looked at as selfish, or it's going to be looked at as, you only thinking about yourself, or you trying to create an environment just for you, or you being hostile to other people, or you're not considering other people's feelings and shit like that. That you're not considering other people's dreams and stuff like that, or their creative ability. You're trying to usurp all the creative powers, and only allow it to be your imagination. That's what a lot of people will be kicking to you, and be trying to making it seem like it's what you're doing, or manifest a full moon moment of that. But if you had started the conversation about your dreams, about the things that linger subconsciously within your mind and stuff like that, and your desires that come out of these, how you use your creative ability. If you already have been mixing and mingling these in your relationships, then it's not going to come out as you being selfish by having these dreams. It's not going to be used as selfish as you you know, having a personal desire to be within these specific emotional states of being, you know, there would be that understanding. And yeah, that's the full moon through the houses. And remember, y'all, to release all of that energy, and that's what the full moon is for, to reap the benefits and to start anew and to release all that that you didn't get, or be ready to start anew with the new moon that is coming up. And see y'all in Scorpio season. Peace out.